add that. Okay. This is Ryan Villanueva with Best Delegate, and I'm here at the Global Classrooms International Model United Nations Conference in New York City, and I'm here with Secretary General Sam Lichtenstein. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you're close enough.
Close.
I mean, it's like the country, so you know.
That's what I kind of want to go for. But how are you doing?
I'm exhausted. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I mean, the conference seems to be going really well.
Yeah, nothing's burned down yet, so that's like the first success.
That's good. That's good. How long have you been involved with Global Classrooms?
I started getting involved with Global Classrooms the summer before I went to college, so I guess that was like 4.5 years ago. It was kind of scary. I interned with UNA. So
I was an intern too.
Yeah, exactly. So I was with Parsa, one of the other Global Classrooms legends.
Yes, and a Best Delegate team member.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we worked together there for the summer, and we started planning for the next year's conference. And then since I had been there, I obviously started the conference when I was a freshman, and now I'm here. Cool.
Okay, tell us, what has been the best part of being Secretary General of this conference?
Well, the highlight is obviously you're on stage with the Secretary General and Ambassador Rice. I mean, it's such a high.
That must have been really cool. You're right next to BKM, you're right next to Susan Rice. Tell us how that felt.
It was the most nerve-wracking experience in a long time. I didn't think I would be that nervous, and then the night before I was just like, this is not happening, like I can't sleep at all. And then they kept on changing the speech time, so I kept on having to edit it.
Right.
And eventually they finally, like 2.5 hours before, they were like, all right, here's what we're finally doing. So I was like, crap, I need to edit this all. So it was a pretty nerve-wracking experience right up until the end.
You had a great opening speech.
Thank you.
By the way, that was really great. You wrote all that.
Yeah.
I take it there was collaborative process. But
yeah, it was. I stole a little from what I said at GCIMUN, our Johns Hopkins conference. Yes. I gave a somewhat of a similar speech, and I kind of used that as a base, but I wanted to do something a bit grander, I guess. You know, you're at the biggest stage you can get, so I figured. But it went over really well. You know, I didn't really know if it was gonna go well, and then I got interrupted halfway through with applause, so I was like, thank goodness.
No, that's
like
it's a good moment. No, and it's spontaneous, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Going. No, I think I went over great.
Yeah.
And you're at the biggest stage in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's the thing, this conference is probably the most tweeted the most tweeted by the most official people.
Oh, yes.
Susan Rice tweeted about the conference like hours before her speech.
She the conference, actually.
She
absolutely
took pictures and put them on Twitter. Apparently the UN has been tweeting you guys.
Oh,
you've had a bunch of students tweeting hashtag GCIMUN, by the way. And at Best Delegate, we've been retweeting all that,
which we appreciate, obviously.
That's that must be really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty darn cool. You know, we heard from the ambassador that she was going to be tweeting throughout the afternoon beforehand, and then BKM's personal people at the UN were doing their thing. So it's pretty cool to be like, wait, the U.S. mission and the actual UN are both tweeting about your conference. So it's pretty incredible.
And it's like, this is, social media, this is the new thing. This did not happen 4 years ago.
Nope, not at all.
8 years ago.
Back in the day.
Thank you, yeah. Back in the day when I first started getting involved with
well, when you were a senior staff and I was, poor little rap or something.
Oh, that's...
It makes you feel old.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's only because I love you.
I appreciate that. And here's the thing. So you're a graduating senior from Johns Hopkins. You're going to work for Teach for America.
Yep.
Next year. What brought you to that? What inspired you to do that? That's really cool.
Yeah, I guess it's a slight detour because obviously I kind of have this international relations path, and so a lot of my friends and family, particularly my dad, was like, "Why are you doing this? You have momentum. Why are you kind of going off path?" But I've grown up in New York City with a lot of privileges that I know my friends didn't have, my parents certainly didn't have.
Yeah.
Even my brothers and sisters that were born before me didn't have. And going to school in Baltimore, where you have a place like Hopkins, which is the largest research university in the world, and 5 blocks away from where I live, you have kids that don't graduate the 8th grade. There's an imbalance, and being there for 4 years really made me realize that it was important for me to at least give a minimum of 2 years, if that's what they asked, to try to make this better, because even from a Model UN standpoint, I know that internationally the U.S. isn't going to be able to compete if we can't continue to turn out bright minds. So it's a moral issue, it's a competitive issue, it's an everything issue.
I think that's really cool. And you're a fellow alumnus from your school. You went to the Dalton School, is that right? Alec Barrett over at Harvard.
Oh yeah, shout out to Alec. I'm talking to you right now. I expect you to take me out for dinner for this shout out.
He's also the Secretary General at Harvard's High School Model UN Conference, and will also be doing Teach for America next year. Ricky Hanzik, Secretary General of the College Conference at Harvard, will also be doing Teach for America, and Charlene Rahman at Berkeley.
Okay, very
actually,
cool.
So a number of Secretaries General I know.
Yeah, my co-head at GCIMUN, Carrie Black, will actually also be doing Teach for America.
I'm just seeing this correlation here. I know correlation is not necessarily causation, but I mean, it's really cool to see like all these leaders in Model UN like, going into the classroom. Yeah,
I think, and I've been really fortunate. I've been stopped a number of times, the past couple days by teachers and kids that were like, we were really motivated by our speech, but we thought it was even cooler when they said that you were going to go teach. And I hope that that kind of showing that leadership, really inspires them to do it, because obviously, it's great if they're inspired in general to help out in the world, but when you're able to get up there and then show them something concrete that you're doing and saying, hey, I'm going back, and maybe I'm not going to, do development work in Africa or whatever it might be, but I'm going into somewhere that's, in my hometown or in my local community and doing something. That's a powerful message for a lot of these kids.
Yes, very powerful, very inspiring. It's really, and can you share with us, clearly you've been involved in Model UN for a long time. How long have you been doing Model UN?
8 years.
8 years.
I started Model UN freshman year of high school.
Very nice, very nice. And clearly it's been important to you.
Oh yeah.
Can you share with Best Delegate readers, what does Model UN mean to you? And global classrooms?
Yeah, well, global classrooms, I didn't realize until I was at the end of high school, right before college, and that's when I first got involved. And what makes global classrooms unique is not only is it a program that's unique because it has a curriculum attached to it, and it affects 25,000 students, more than really anywhere else in the world that does anything related to Model UN, but it's really unique, I think, and really special because it has that emphasis on schools that otherwise wouldn't get that focus. Yeah. So these kids that are coming from schools that don't have the funding for civics or international studies or anything like that, and exposing them is going to make a much more powerful statement than going into prep schools or wealthier private or public schools that already have those opportunities. So it's a really special program for me because I get to look out at the crowd at the UN and say, there are kids from the South Bronx here that might have never left the country, and here they are sitting in the UN General Assembly having the UN Secretary General speak to them. I'm meeting kids from Tokyo, from Seoul, from Tel Aviv, from Beijing, from Guatemala, from everywhere, and it's a really I feel like a proud parent almost, like kind of overseeing all of this.
Or perhaps a teacher.
One could say that. Right? Very well played.
Indeed, sir. Yeah. Yes, and that's awesome. And for Model UN as a whole, like again, this activity it seems to have taken you to like all these places.
Yeah, Model UN is. I think there's so many components to it that make it great. There's obviously a more vocational component. You get your public speaking skills, writing skills, research skills, analytical skills, all these things that you need to apply to college and to get through high school in the first place and then apply to college to get on with your life. I mean, these are really important skills. And I was talking to a bunch of teachers this weekend that say, consistently, the kids that do Model UN get into better colleges, they get better jobs because they develop these skills rather. So they there's a definite vocational aspect, there's a community aspect.
Yep.
You meet your friends, I've known you now for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that I'm working with this weekend, I had a couple kids on my staff now who were like, yeah, you were my chair, 3 years ago or something.
Isn't that a moment? You
So you get all these different components, and of course, there's just the fun of it,
Right.
I feel like a total mundork, but I'm okay with that.
Okay, you're talking to the
exactly over here.
I can say I've done this for over a decade now. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But